you begin to realize that every no you hand out makes your yeses more valuable. Because that is the art of discernment. When you have discernment, the yeses, where you vote your energy towards, your time, attention, and resources towards, that becomes infinitely more effective. Hi, welcome back. I'm getting pretty sleepy and I'm about to go to bed, but I want to wake you up to something I've observed in my surroundings that could really save you a lot of time, effort, and energy in your life, okay? This is the fact that there are supremely underrated skills and overrated skills in our day-to-day life. The main ones for me being that working hard is pretty overrated if you underrate and undervalue discernment. Discernment is so underrated. Why is this? Think of it this way. Since we are very little children, we're told repeatedly and drilled with the message that hard work leads to success. But in my life, I have seen so many people suffer because this idea of hard work was harnessed in the wrong direction, in ways where it did not become fruitful for the individual, or it was used against them to benefit someone else. So when you have discernment, that saves you so much time, energy, heartbreak, and this applies across all aspects of your life. Discernment is so freaking underrated, and I see this everywhere, in my surroundings, in my reality, in my own life. If I knew the value of discernment, if I learned that before, like pure force and pure hard work, I could have saved myself so much grief, so much money, so much resources, and just so much effort overall, because all the effort you have, the energy you have on a day-to-day basis, it's limited, right? We can train ourselves, we can practice to become stronger, but at the end of the day, discernment, it's very similar to focus. And in any aspect of your life where you want to up-level and really achieve something, that requires supreme focus. That goes along with the realization of your projects, goals, your highest self. Any ambition you have, focus is so important. Focus is channeling your life force in the form of attention, energy, and time in the right direction so that it's not scattered and distracting, right? But when you start out with the mentality that you only need to work hard and you don't have discernment, I can guarantee that will bring you so much fruitless hard work, so much wasted effort. And the best case scenario in that is you helping out someone else without being appreciated, compensated, or valued properly for it. So, why are we not taught discernment earlier on compared to like straight up working hard or studying hard? Well, discernment can make you a relatively unpleasant person, especially to the people who want something from you for free, for nothing or close to nothing. So discernment comes largely in the form of saying no, or saying no thank you, or expressing boundaries. And as social creatures, us human beings, we don't really feel too comfortable doing that unless if you've trained yourself to value your boundaries, time, and energy, right? But the more you value that, you begin to realize that every no you hand out makes your yeses more valuable. Because that is the art of discernment. When you have discernment, the yeses, where you vote your energy towards, your time, attention, and resources towards, that becomes infinitely more effective. But if you do not have discernment, all of that energy gets scattered. It gets scattered towards people who just want it who just want it for free, who want to interact with you. Maybe they're not overtly evil, they're not overtly exploitative, but they don't value your time, your energy at the end of the day at the same degree to which you see your potential. So in that sense, if you just say yes to anyone, or you take any project you get, whether it's career, whether it's relationship wise, your energy gets so scattered. So that's what I mean when I say hard work is overrated if you undervalue discernment. These two need to go hand in hand. It's just like the video I made previously about beauty and intelligence. You need both together to have that mega charged superpower. Because could you succeed with one without the other? Technically, anything is possible, but you get so much more out of your hard work if you have discernment. So let me give you a few examples of this. When I graduated art school, one of the most prestigious art school in France, where the acceptance rate is like, I don't know, under 10 to 5%. I went through this phase of applying to art competitions that were exclusive to the students there and to the recent graduates. And I had some initial success, but then afterwards, I began to doubt myself. I began to question my talent, my capability, and my creativity, because I would apply to some of these art competitions and not win, and then somehow it would deeply affect my self-esteem, and it was really damaging. And it's easy to tell yourself, okay, I'll keep trying, but if you don't have that discernment, if you have this mentality of I need to take every chance I can get, instead of really taking the opportunities and the relationships that you feel are deeply correct for you, you can really get hurt from that. So what happened to me with these art competitions in this example was I would work so hard towards these prompts, and I would create artworks that I felt were truly of high quality and that I would be proud of regardless of if I won or not. However, on multiple occasions, they would not win anything, or they would not even pass to the next judging round. And then I realized, because I have been on a faculty of I have taught like summer art programs at a very important art institution in the United States, where part of being that faculty was voting awards at the end of the program. And I have been there where I saw what it's like for a jury or a group of art educators to vote who gets the best student prize or whatever. And a lot of that, what frustrated me was it was not necessarily the most original or creative artist. It was oftentimes like someone who just pleased the greatest average of people in the faculty. And whilst that's not an excuse to like say, oh, I could have won or whatever. It's never an excuse for that. I'm just saying that when you submit to an employer or a competition or a jury, you subject yourself to another person to evaluate you, and you don't take on these projects with discernment, it can be highly damaging to your effort, energy, and self-esteem. Because we as human beings, we need for our work to be valued and appreciated as an extension of who we are and what we serve to fulfill in the world, in our role, right? When you do not have discernment like I did, I thought in that moment years ago that I needed to grab onto every opportunity available because otherwise there would not be enough. That was a scarcity mindset. That was fear-driven. And what I realize now is the highest version of me would not be doing that, would not be behaving that way if you focus on doing what you can do well. If I focus on my own art, for example, and create the best work I can, do you not think opportunities will present themselves to me as they have? The moment I started focusing on what I wanted to make, instead of like spreading myself thin across doing these random art competitions I wasn't guaranteed to win, even if they sounded good. The moment I started focusing on doing what I cared about and just ignoring all of those art competitions, then I realized like a great, beautiful exhibition opportunity just presented itself to me from an institution that values me. So what did I learn from that? I learned that hard work for me, when I wasn't using discernment hand in hand with hard work, it was absolutely useless. It actually backfired on me. The biggest lesson I learned from that was I need discernment. If I'm going to submit myself to a competition, to any sort of platform, I'm not going to throw my energy freely because, a lot of these greatest artists or individuals, they're not giving out their energy for free. And a lot of these juries, I realized looking back, they weren't even caring necessarily for the best work of art. They needed, just like sometimes they just needed a sculpture or an installation for a building, for a public space. And they had a very specific list of what they needed. So in this instance, you're literally molding yourself. I had to mold myself to what they wanted. But if you have hard work and discernment to do your own projects properly, then I would have advanced so much faster if I just knew that. So that's one warning when you're taking on projects in your work life. Another warning when it comes to friendships and discernment. One thing that I notice over and over in relationships is a lot of the most well-off people in all departments of their life, they don't have a huge group of close friends. And I mean, they have a discerning small circle of important people to them. And energetically, that makes absolute sense. Because when you have a big network, that's great. But when you have a big group of friends, how many of those friends are really your friends? And versus how many are just friendly acquaintances that wouldn't mind selling you out for $100,000 if it meant taking away 10 years of your life. So sometimes you'll meet these people who are quite similar to you in your field, and they'll want to be your friend, or there's some potential connection there. But this is the moment in the beginning, okay, where you need discernment. What do I mean by that? When you have discernment, you can tell from the very smallest actions in the beginning of that relationship, or even before it starts, of how this will unfold in the future. You can see these timelines literally unfold in front of you. And when you cannot have discernment, this leads you down timelines and paths with friendships and relationships you do not want, you do not deserve. So, for example, when you have discernment, you can tell from the way a man stands or speaks and communicates with their language, their word choice, their posture, if this is a grounded, serious person. And I don't mean by someone who has no sense of humor. I mean, if this is someone who has real substance, or if this is someone where nothing will happen, this is going nowhere. Same with friendships and girlfriends. When you have discernment, you can tell, like, oh, you're gonna show up late once? Yeah, like maybe I understand, that happens. But if you show up late a second time, is this friendship gonna continue? No. Why? And another thing I want to tell you is you do not have to hate someone to block them. This sounds a bit ruthless or strange to some people perhaps, but what I mean by this is you do not need to justify blocking someone with the sole reason of hating them. No, you can block anyone who wants access to you but does not show up in a way that benefits you. And this does not mean that they warrant or deserve your hatred, because your emotions are expensive and you don't know them like that. So it's not really beef. It's not an issue. It's not a personal thing. But if someone wants to enter your life, and for example, I recently, someone wanted to meet in a friendly atmosphere to go to a museum, for example, because we're in a similar creative field. And she showed up late after canceling once. The first time I forgave, I was understanding, but the second time she told me a little while before our set time that she would be late by maybe 15 minutes, 20 minutes. And I just told her, I understand this happens, but unfortunately we won't be able to meet. And then I blocked her. Do I hate her? No. Do I think she's a lovely girl? Yeah, I think so. I think she's a lovely girl and I wish her much success. I still blocked her though. Because the thing is, when you have discernment, you can tell that if someone will be repeatedly late on a first meeting, that's not someone you want to spend time around. Because every single detail of the way a person presents themselves to you, especially in the beginning, they're telling themselves, without words, they're exposing themselves to show you, hey, you can use this data and see, you can project what our relationship will be like if this continues. So apply this too to any romantic relationships, to any business relationships, to any opportunities. All these small details, when you have discernment, you can project timelines and see if these interactions will benefit you. And if they do not, you can save yourself so much hard work, so much effort, so much time and frustration, and also damage to your self-esteem by simply avoiding them. People are so obsessed with working hard towards their goals and to the subject of manifestation on the topic of spirituality. People are so obsessed with these things that they forget discernment is the very start of these things working out for you. When you have discernment, it amplifies and validates all the other good qualities and talents you have. Because with discernment, you're literally accelerating yourself by avoiding the pitfalls of going forth with your talent, with your grace, with your presence as a gift in places where it will not be valued. You see, when we work hard as human beings, when you work hard towards something and you're not, and you don't get the result you're expecting, inevitably over time, if this repeats on and on and on again, it takes a hit to your self-esteem and to your happiness, into your sense of self-worth. And I'm telling you, discernment is the key to avoiding such a situation. Whether you're selecting projects to pursue, whether you're like in the beginning stages of a friendship or romantic relationship, whether you're thinking, should I take on this project or not? When you have discernment, it is such a game changer. I mean, I can take one look at a photo of one of my friends and a man she dated, and I can tell from the way he's holding his feet if he is a piece of trash that like traumatized her, or if he treats her like decently well, or if that man is, hey, a keeper. So let me just ask you for your sake, okay, to practice the art of discernment. I have noticed that a lot of successful people, they practice a daily 10-minute meditation. And some of y'all might be thinking, like, that is such a waste of time. You're sitting there 10 minutes doing nothing. Listen, no one does nothing. Even the people who are on the side of the road, just wandering around, unemployed, whatever, they are doing something. They are playing their role on this stage of this little play that we call the universe, that we call life. And these people who meditate for 10 minutes a day, they have determined that to be an investment, because by taking 10 minutes, setting that aside on a day-to-day basis and listening to your inner voice and guidance, because when you go into the void and you go into silence, you can get intuitive hits on what you're supposed to do and what you're supposed to avoid. That is the origin of discernment. Discernment comes from your gut feelings. Discernment is an inner GPS, an internal GPS telling you, hey, this direction is probably where you're supposed to go, and that direction you will not be valued as much. It's a no-no. But a lot of the time, whether it's because of the sunk cost fallacy, hey, you already invested so much time and effort into this project, into this person, you should continue or else it's lost. No. The more you waste on that, the worse it gets. Our mind tricks us with these illogical ideas. For example, a lot of people, they might eat totally unhealthy, but then drink a diet soda to feel like it cancels out, right? When I had a messed up eating pattern, like I was eating too much sugar and then drinking sugar-free soda because it made me feel like I was undoing the damage. Listen, a lot of human logic does not make sense. So you need to have discernment and that clarity of mind when you're deciding, hey, where do I want to put my life force? Where do I want to put my attention and energy? Who's actually worth me spending time with because they value me properly? Let me tell you, having people who value you properly, having places, organizations, and projects where you're fairly rewarded and appreciated, that is a key to self-esteem. You choose what is choosing you. You value the people who value you. That is the minimum common sense standard of discernment. But if you put a filter on through your life and you see where this does not align, where are you not being valued properly? When you have that discernment, you see there are energetic channels all around you. From the people serving your food, making your food, clothes, or your, real estate agent, just these people in your day-to-day life, organizations in your day-to-day life, they're all energetic channels. And when you have discernment, you get to see where those are equitable and where those are unfair and unequal. And then you can discern where you need to stay and what needs to be fixed, and where you can start looking out for other opportunities to get more leverage on the places where you're not being valued properly. So you can either negotiate or jump ship. So I just want to warn you to wake you up really, that hard work is really overrated and discernment is really underrated. Hard work is sort of like relentless and forcing compared to having discernment and hard work. When you have beauty and brains, that is a lethal combination. And when you have discernment and the ability to dedicate yourself in what you're creating, in what you're working towards, that is also a lethal combination. So just a reminder, discernment with hard work, with dedication. I actually don't like the term hard work. I prefer when people really, what I really love is the state of flow. So when you're being absolutely creative and productive, but it does not feel like you're struggling. I mean, it can be definitely challenging, but you're not forcing anything. That is the ideal. And when you have discernment and a concentrated focus, which you can call hard work if you want, that is like the chef's kiss for me, okay? That's the message for today. Use this in whatever way helps you. And I wish you all a beautiful life, okay? You can find me on Instagram under La Princesse des Beaux-Arts. And I'll see you all very soon, okay? I'm gonna sleep. I'm pretty tired. Good night. Say hi, Freddie. Boop, boop, boop. Bye. Au revoir. Bisous.